it's really not fair to have to follow that presentation. So I'll take it down a notch, unfortunately. I'm Dennis Zakas. It's really gratifying to see this record crowd. And it's hard to imagine, as Barry said, that things weren't always so rosy for TAG. And before introducing the top 10 companies, I'd like to tell you about the origins of the top 40, top 10 competition from my perspective as the founder of the Georgia Technology Summit and the first event chair. So I'm going to take you back. In the late 90s, TAG was actually a very thriving organization consistent with the tech sector in Georgia, which was also thriving. But in 2004, TAG was still recovering from the dot-com bust, and we had steep declines in memberships and sponsorships. TAG was fortunately being led by an effective executive committee, led by Don Patrick, trying to steer through the turbulent times. But things were very depressing around TAG. I had a vision of an annual forward-looking event that shines a light on the dynamic Georgia technology community. I'd hoped that that would help jumpstart the rebirth of TAG and help the community reignite. So I approached TAG's president at the time, Steve Jeffrey, and I suggested that we have this event, and he expressed his enthusiastic support. He committed to take the idea to that executive committee. We formed a steering committee, and we met several times a week trying to define the event, identifying sponsors, and we decided we had to focus the event on innovation. Obviously, the theme of innovation has withstood the test of time because this event, like every other summit event, has been based on innovation. As we were working through to the first summit, Steve Jeffrey resigned, and he was the only TAG representative that I had ever worked with on the summit. So I contacted my friend Martin Tilson, who was a member of the committee, and asked who would be my new contact person. Martin said that they didn't have any idea that I or anyone else was working on this project. They had only heard about it from Steve Jeffrey. They said, okay, well, we'll give it a try. And so they endorsed the project. And then when Tino came on board, things accelerated even more, which led to our first summit. We knew that the first summit was dependent on having quality content, but we had absolutely no budget for speakers. So we had to find speakers through our friends and contacts, and we secured Professor Jeff Rosenzweig, CEO of ChoicePoint, Derek Smith, and serial entrepreneur Michael McChesney to speak. But most importantly, we needed a big draw as the headline speaker, and who better than Ted Turner to fill the location. Now, having Ted Turner was so important that we had to change the date of the summit twice until we could find a time that worked with Ted's schedule, and it was worth it. And fortunately, none of our speakers asked for even an honorarium, which was very important at the time given TAG's financial condition. And one of the bright ideas was to have a trade show to highlight the state's technology companies. We concluded that, again, given TAG's financial constraints, that the extra cost of renting a room for the trade show would not be prudent and wasn't something we could afford to pay. So, to save money, we located the trade show in the area outside of the ballroom, where it remains today. And now, by the way, TAG could afford to get an extra room, but we found that that was a lot more fun to be able to walk right out there in the excitement of the top 40 companies. Since only 40 exhibits would fit in the space, we had to ask the question, how would we pick from the many possible candidates? We decided to let the applicants compete based on how innovative they are, consistent with the theme of innovation. By focusing on innovation, we differentiated and continue to differentiate this competition from other tech awards. The idea of featuring 40 excellent companies reminded us of the top 40 music charts, which people of my vintage probably remember, and the top 40 was born. We had all loved the company presentations at big events during the dot-com boom, like the Red Herring Conference and the Goldman Sachs Conference, so we decided to select the 10 most innovative companies from the top 40 to give presentations to the audience. We already had a packed agenda, as the executive committee continued to remind us during that time, so they told us the presentations have to be short. So we decided that if you couldn't tell us why you were innovative in 3 minutes, then you shouldn't be on the stage. And so was born the top 10 presentations with a unique 3-minute format. Finally, we presented the first People's Choice Awards. You'll be able to vote on this year's People's Choice Awards at the second break. There are going to be voting stations out there, and you'll hear more about that. But if you listen carefully to the top 10 presentations, you can make an informed vote on the following categories: coolest technology, most likely to create jobs, breakthrough technology, most likely to succeed, best presentation, and best of show. And you can also vote on the best display from all of the top 40 in the lobby. Well, much has changed with TAG and the technology community over the last decade, but thankfully, much of this remains the same because we came up with a format that works and continues to work to this day. And the event wouldn't be the success that it is today without the leadership of the chairs that followed, from Patrick Gall to Barry, and with, of course, Tino's leadership. So now I'm proud and pleased to introduce the first 3 presenters: Softwear Automation, Patientco, and MapLarge.
Good morning. I'm Bill Lockhart, the CEO of Softwear Automation. Let's have a quick show of hands this morning of anyone that's wearing garments made in the U.S. No one. Softwear Automation, with its disruptive technology, intends to be the sole supplier of robotic cutting and sewing for the production of garments and other sewn products. I am missing the clicker. Thank you. We talked a little bit about vision earlier this morning, and that's the heart of the software technology. If you look in the upper left-hand corner of the slide, you'll see the first patent, 8098185. That is our high-speed, high-technology camera. It measures distortion of fabric by counting threads at the rate of 839 frames per second. As fabric moves through the sewing process, it distorts. Each time the needle punctures the fabric, it moves. This technology with the high-speed camera communicates the distortion to the sewing dog. Now, this dog does not retain, thank you. This dog does not chase umpires, but it takes the information from the camera to make the adjustment at the needle. We're addressing an industry that has seen 700,000 jobs lost since the year 2000. Those 700,000 jobs paid an average annual wages of $380 million. We're talking about something dramatic. We're talking about transforming the sweatshop to the smart shop. This technology of software automation can lower the cost of a pair of blue jeans in this country. Right now, there are factories in Alabama and Texas that use cutting technology, robotic cutting, to cut fabric pieces to manufacture a pair of blue jeans. These fabric pieces are then shipped to Latin America to be stitched together to form a pair of pants. If you look at the difference in the cost, a lot of that is in transportation. If your jeans are coming from Southeast Asia, there's a 6 to 7 month delivery time. We're talking 7 days. We've had a discussion with a prospective strategic partner in the last week that says, wait a minute, you mean I could take these fabric pieces from Enterprise, Alabama, and move them right to the building next door to stitch together robotically and save all the transportation costs and get to the market faster? Hey, that's a game changer. It used to be every small town, at least in the Southeast, had at least one sewing operation, some as many as 2 or 3. Those are all gone. The only garments really made in this country anymore are for the military and from Brooks Brothers. Everything else is imported. We think our technology will again lead to job creation. It will make manufacturing local and sustainable. And that's what we're talking about, disruptive technology to drive the reshoring of garment and sewn products to this country and the rebirth of American manufacturing. Thank you very much for your time this morning, for listening. We're Softwear Automation.
My name is Bird Blitch. I'm the CEO of Patientco. We are a cloud-based payments platform. And I'm here today as a result of some great people that work on our team. I'm so proud of all the things that we're doing. I'd love to tell you more stories, but you can learn more at patientcolife.com. We're always looking to add to the team and really excited about some of the things that we're doing. Now, I actually was talking to Tino just before I came in here outside. As you know, Ted Turner is the fireside speaker today. And I said, Tino, you tell Mr. Turner I've got a bet. And the bet is that I can ride on my horse, on my ranch, faster from one side of it all the way to the other, faster than he can on his horse on his ranch. He said, okay, I'll go tell him. I'll make that bet. But what I didn't tell him is that my ranch is only 1/8 of an acre. Now, that horse that we are all riding is, there we go, is a horse that's very ailed right now. It's healthcare. And it's got three major problems. One around increasing healthcare cost. And let's just look at the three revenue buckets for most hospitals. One, Medicare, Medicaid. Go read in the AJC right now. 4 community hospitals have closed in the last year alone because of declining Medicare, Medicaid reimbursements. The second thing is commercial insurance companies. With the transition from ICD-9 to ICD-10 billing codes, they're paying out a lot farther, a lot less. And the third piece is more high deductible healthcare plans. Or most Americans, 50% of them have a $2,000 deductible or more. So when you add all that up, right, that's a major problem for healthcare. And we felt like from the very beginning, that's innovation and that's a problem that we could change. So what did we do? Well, the first thing we do is we built a solution with the patient in mind. And we started sending bills to patients where they could understand all this copay, deductible, all this mess, who pays what in one medium. And you can go online to a patient wallet and see that as well. So for once, you can see everything together, and it really makes a difference. Now, when that happens and that difference occurs, people start paying faster. It's amazing. And when that happens in healthcare, it's actually another problem for hospitals around reconciliation. Because when you and I go buy a burrito from Moe's, right, they just need to take that credit card receipt and they're done. But in healthcare, you got to reconcile that back to a lot of personal patient data. And that is very problematic because of the regulation around HIPAA compliancy. So we solved that. 80% of all the payments now that hospitals have are reconciled in an automated form. Once you do that, right, you're creating consumerism and making the patient more of a consumer. The flexibility and convenience for both sides leads to the real innovative part of Patientco. We can determine what a payment is and how it corresponds to a certain communication event out. And that's really powerful because we can start to finally understand that you may prefer to pay with an e-bill, but you may prefer to pay with a blue-green statement. You prefer to have a 10% discount, but you prefer to pay with a $200 payment plan. You prefer to pay in the morning, you prefer to pay in the evening. And again, we're treating patients like consumers in the way that hospitals can now address these financial concerns. This is the personalization of a lot of really incredible data. And the results are amazing, right? We're turning healthcare around with huge changes. I just got an email the other day from one of our customers here in Atlanta, DeKalb Medical, and they're seeing 7-figure differences in terms of the number of payments, the dollars that they're receiving before and after Patientco. And this is the success or difference in success between a lot of hospitals today and going forward. So we really are changing and making that horse that we all are riding in healthcare a lot more healthy. And I just want to take a minute to thank the Technology Association for Georgia for promoting companies like Patientco. I want to take a second to thank you for all your support, because together we really are making a difference in healthcare, and it matters. Thank you.
Oops. All right, hey everyone, I'm Linwood Bishop. I'm president of MapLarge, and our product is a platform for big data, analytics, and publishing. And so what does this mean? It means you can see your data, okay? And today we're gonna talk specifically about how you can see your geospatial data. So here we have a slide from a project we did with CNN, and the question is, can you see the white spot in South Florida? And if you can, on a screen like this, this is 12 pixels. And on a screen like this, and something very similar on your HD laptop, you might have 1 million pixels, and you were just able to pick out 12 of them. So that's 12 records out of 1 million records that your brain could see just like that. And so that, to us, is such a powerful tool, the human brain connecting with a visualization. And so contrast this with what you might see in an ordinary BI, an ordinary report that you get on your desk, the bar charts, the pie charts. What happens if we can actually put our mind to use and look at the individual pixels, the individual records in the data? Let's look at a different example. Here we go, 2 images. Is this the same data? It is. On one side, it's very aggregated data, but on the other, it's very detailed, where we're almost looking at it on a per pixel basis. And which one tells us more? Which one tells us more insights about our customers? Is it the big red blob, or is it these little tiny pockets? Where do we want to target our efforts? And so can you see the difference between these two? Can you see the insights that you could gain by looking at your data in a more specific way? Okay, let's go to a use case from Atlanta. Who owns the most TVs? All right, think about a picture of Atlanta in your mind, and where in Atlanta would people own the most TVs? Okay, so here's an image. It's got a lot of data. But if we start to look at this for a second, we can start to see some patterns, right? In Midtown, for some reason, it's lighter. People aren't buying as many TVs, but out in the suburbs, people are buying more, okay? And it's not just uniform throughout the suburbs, it's in these pockets. And so we're starting to ask ourselves questions, why? Why does the data look like this? Well, we have thousands of data sets that you can bring to bear to answer this question for this particular use case, but also for your data, for the types of questions that you'll be seeing once you open up your data set and visualize it. Okay, but we don't just answer questions in visualization format, we also help people do detailed analytics. And so here's one. Imagine if you ask the question, where could we all be in 5 hours, right? And so if we all left here and some of us took surface streets and some of us took the interstate, where could we all go? And let's just not answer this. What this helps us understand is patterns for stores. Where should we place stores to reach the most amount of target demographic in a certain 5 or 10 minute zone from our store location? But imagine if we did this not just for a store, but we did it for a continent. And so here we're helping answer questions of where are the bad guys? Where could they be in 5 minutes, in 5 hours? Help us to find them and intercept them and save people. So we're doing sort of everything from commercial store analytics to continental scale analytics for certain types of customers. And so if you look at an image of what we do, on one hand, we're bringing in these streams of data. We have customers with as few as 100 records to people who've brought us trillion record analytics to perform, and everything in between. And it's not really so much the size, it's everybody wants the same thing. They want to take their data and they want to turn it into visual products. They want to turn it into visual insights. And that's what we do at MapLarge, and that's what we can do for your data as well. Thank you.